Hey, what's up everybody? Hammerheart Metal Reviews here once again. Today we're doing another discography countdown and we're going to be talking about Savatage. Absolute legends from the USA, from the Tampa Bay area. Very hard band to classify. Definitely traditional heavy metal mixed with power metal. Then eventually goes in a very progressive metal direction. Been around for, well, they were around for a really long time. I don't think we're ever going to get more material from them. They did put out 11 full lengths, so I'm going to be running through them from my least favorite down to my favorite. Originally, this band, two brothers are what they're most well known for. Chris Oliva on lead guitar, absolutely amazing, one of the best guitarists around. Unfortunately died tragically in 1993. He was really the heart and soul of this band. So you'll see from my ranking that really the albums after he passed away, I don't think as highly of as the ones where he was on. I mean, he just added his own personal touch to those albums with so much emotion and feeling in his guitar playing. It's just unmatched. Really hard to recapture that with different guitarists. Although the later guitarists they had are very skilled, it just never really had that same vibe to it as when Chris was still alive. And then his brother John Oliva, longtime vocalist, he did eventually step back and let someone else take over lead vocals. But in my opinion, the best albums are the early ones where John's signature trademark voice is on full display. He's got some really nice high-pitched wails, like banshee wails mixed in with his great voice. But he's also not just the vocalist, but even when he stepped back, he was still very involved with the songwriting, plays keyboards as well. So they've had quite a varying career in styles from one album to the next, and also in quality. I cannot say that I thoroughly enjoy all 11 of these albums. There's definitely at least half of them that are absolute standouts that I love, but then there's a few that I don't really go back to that much. They just don't really do it for me. So we'll find out which ones those are. I generally don't include EPs on this list, but I will just give a special shout out to their Dungeons Are Calling EP from 1984. I'm not mentioning that one in this ranking, but that's essential listening. Definitely go check it out. If I was including it, it would be very high up on this list. It fucking rules. But anyways, let's just get into this. Coming in 11th place, my least favorite Savatage album is from 1995, Dead Winter Dead. So this one, yeah, of course, is after Chris had passed away. It did feature Al Pitrelli on guitar, who's an awesome guitar player. But this style on this album, it's more like Broadway metal. I just find it really kind of boring and flat. It just really doesn't do it for me. I almost never go back to this. I find it just not very interesting and very hard to get through. I re-listened to all these albums making this ranking, and yeah, this one was kind of a chore. I gotta be honest. I love Savatage, but this later era, not so much. And this album in particular, I just really can't get into. Never been able to get into it. Don't really like it. If you do, hey, that's okay. If different opinions, that's what it's all about. But for me, I don't really like this album at all. Easy choice for me in at 11th place. Up next at number 10, another album that I don't really like at all, and that was their last one from 2001, Poets and Madmen. So this one at least saw John Oliva come back on full-time lead vocals, but it's another one that I just can't really get into. It's very boredom-inducing. It's just not engaging. I don't enjoy this album. Don't worry, this video is going to get more positive. I know it sounds like I'm hating on them a lot right now, but these first few albums I'm talking about, I just don't like. But we're going to get into some better stuff right away. But yeah, Poets and Madmen, another one that, for me, kind of a write-off. Don't really ever go back to it. Up next at number 9, going to 1994, the first album released right after Chris had passed away, and that is Handful of Rain. So it's actually brought in Alex Skolnick on lead guitar from Testament, and I absolutely love Testament. I love Alex Skolnick's playing, and this is a very emotional album, obviously, with the passing of Chris Oliva, but overall, the songwriting is a little lackluster here. I find something's missing. There is very much a somber mood throughout this album, and there's still a handful of decent songs here, but as a whole, I can't really rate it higher than 9th. It's definitely much better than Dead Winter Dead and Poets and Madmen, but for me, it's still not an album I go back to a ton, but the title track, Handful of Rain, is pretty good. Symmetry is a pretty awesome song, actually. But all in all, I can't really rank it higher than this. It's just not that great of an album, but it's okay. Up next at number 8, I'm going to 1997 with The Wake of Magellan. So this one, for their later stage era, this is easily my favorite of those last 4 albums, but it's still not something that I love. It's definitely better than the couple albums that preceded it and the one that followed it. It's got very much like a Queen influence. It's very operatic. This was the last album to feature Zach Stevens on vocals. He had come in on Edge of Thorns, which I haven't talked about yet, and so he was there for like 4 albums. And yeah, like I said, this is better than the last couple albums that preceded it. It's still not great. It's just okay. But it's got some standout moments, like Turns to Me is a pretty decent song. But all in all, easy choice for me that these 4 albums are my bottom 4. I just don't really go back to this era of the band too often. But now let's get into some better stuff. The top 7, this is where we're going to start getting into the goods. But in at number 7 is one that's not necessarily the goods yet, but it's better than the ones I just talked about, and that is Fight for the Rock. This was their 3rd full length from 1986. So this one kind of saw them go in a more commercial direction. The knock for me on this album is that they put 2 cover songs on here that just both kind of suck. Like, they could have put better cover songs, but take those off the album and it would be a lot better. Like, there's still a couple pretty decent songs on here. Maybe a slight disappointment overall and slightly forgettable just compared to the stronger albums that are released right in this same era of the band. It's easily the worst out of like these early albums in my opinion. Like, the title track is catchy, the song Hide is pretty good. So all in all, like, I don't love this album, but I don't hate it. It's just very mediocre. Let's move this along. Up next at number 6 from 1991, Streets, a rock opera. So this is a very high concept album. There's definitely more ballads than rockers on here. It's not my favorite style of theirs, but that being said, there's still some really great moments on here. Maybe it's a little inconsistent throughout, but I get what they're going for. It's a success in that sense. Like I said, this isn't my preferred style of the band. This is very much more in a progressive direction. I like their more just straight ahead metal attitude. That's not really on display that much here, but there's still some really good songs on here, like Ghost in the Ruins, Agony and Ecstasy. All in all, a success at what they were going for. Me having it in 6th place is just my preference, that I like some other albums better. Now let's get into the really good stuff, the top 5. Throw all that negativity out the window. This is where it gets starting to get really good. I really like all of these next 5 albums. It's coming in 5th place. I'm going with their sophomore album, which is from 1985, Power of the Night. So following up the debut, I don't think this quite stacks up to the debut. Obviously, I haven't talked about that yet. But this does still have its moments. It's another one that maybe is a little inconsistent. There's a couple songs that don't stack up to the rest. But there are a few absolutely excellent songs on here as well, balanced out with the mediocre ones. But yeah, compared to the debut and their better albums, their songwriting maybe leaves something to be desired. But like the title track, Power of the Night, is great. Warriors, Skull Session is pretty awesome as well. All in all, pretty enjoyable album. I do still go back to this one quite often. But out of these top 5, the next 4 do edge it out fairly easily, at least in my opinion. Up next at number 4, maybe some controversy here. People would probably have thought I would have this way lower on the list, but I'm going with Edge of Thorns from 1993. So this was the first album to feature Zach Stevens on lead vocals and the last Chris Oliva album. So this one, after Streets, it completely went in a different direction, went back to more of like the metal direction as opposed to a high concept album. John took a back seat here. Like, he's still involved in the songwriting and the compositions, but not doing vocals other than maybe some backing here and there. But the reason I have this so high on the list is that Chris Oliva's guitar playing on this album just really shines through. It's really on display and just absolutely amazing. Maybe this album has a more like modern 90s sound compared to their older stuff, but just for Chris's guitar work alone, this is getting a high spot on my list. And I actually don't mind Zach's vocals as well. I think they suit this style of music here. I wish they would have put out more albums like this, but obviously with Chris passing away, that couldn't come to pass. But yeah, I actually really dig this album a lot, and that's why it's in at number 4. Up next at number 3, I'm going to 1989 with Gutter Ballet. So this is where they started going in a more like theatrical and operatic approach with their songwriting. Maybe there's some piano-heavy ballads and it's a little bit more experimental compared to the albums that were before it, but this is very solid and super well done. Like, compared to Streets, I prefer Gutter Ballet hands down. Like, even though this is a progressive experimental album, these songs kick ass. It's just really awesome, pretty much front to back. Maybe there's a couple songs that miss the mark, but all in all, like, it's pretty solid. Very awesome album. Like, I would give this one 8 out of 10. Really good songs are She's in Love, Of Rage and War. The title track, Gutter Ballet, of course, is awesome as well. All in all, very solid stuff. If you had this higher than 3, totally makes sense to me as well. 2 albums left. What's it gonna be? Coming in second place, I'm going all the way back with the debut from 1983, Sirens. So this one just really, they came out of the gates firing here. Obviously, with their debut, if I'm putting it in second place, I feel like they really knocked it out of the park. This is just full of flashy guitar licks and solos. Chris's playing is so amazing on this record. And the vocals, like, super unique, trademark style for John Oliva here. And it's just really amazing, super well done. Just an awesome debut. It kicks so much ass. And like with the vocals, he throws in those high pitch like, it's just like, I can't do it. But he'll be singing like normally and then just get this really high pitched. It's fucking awesome. Yeah, like I said, just came out of the gates firing. Best tracks on here, the title track, Sirens. Holocaust kicks ass. Living for the Night, another really solid one. All in all, absolutely amazing debut. Easily in my top 2. But that just leaves one. Probably not a big surprise here. This is pretty much universally hailed as their best, and to me, it's not even close. As much as I love Sirens, this album blows everything else in their discography out of the water. In my opinion, this is possibly one of the best metal albums ever made, and that is Hall of the Mountain King from 1987. So this is just an epic 80s metal classic. Hard to classify, like, but this would get lumped in with like US power metal. Started going maybe in a little progressive direction, but genres, like, regardless of genres, it doesn't matter. This is just an all-time classic metal album. Stands the test of time. The vocals are absolutely amazing. I think this is John's best vocal performance in their career. And the riffs and solos, oh my god. The riffs on this album will stick in your head. Chris's playing is absolutely top-notch here. Their songwriting is their best ever as well. Like, these songs are catchy, front to back, no weak moments here. Just truly a timeless album. Absolutely their best, and one of the best albums ever. Best songs on here, I mean the whole thing, but the title track, Hall of the Mountain King, come on, all-time classic. 24 Hours Ago, Strange Wings has more of like a ballad feel to it, but absolutely amazing album, easily in at number 1 for me. So anyways, these are just my opinions as usual. Love to hear yours down below, especially on their later era. Let me know if you love those albums. Is there something I'm missing out there? Maybe I need to go back and try it again, but yeah, I've just never been able to get into those last 4 albums really that much. But anyways, yeah, I'm rambling on here. Until next time, give me a subscribe. Hammerheart Metal Reviews, out.